The Big Whack presents Buffalo on the Rise, sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process. Welcome to the television show devoted to local business, Buffalo on the Rise, with your host, Joe Chili. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in Western New York that's putting our area on the cusp of greatness. Each week, Buffalo on the Rise features local business leaders and decision makers who are shaping our future. If it's about local business, we'll talk about it right here, right now, during Buffalo on the Rise.
I'm Joe Chili. On this edition of The Big Whack presents Buffalo on the Rise. Is your roof ready for winter? Find out how the team at Amherst Roofing can offer protection for your home. Are you a senior that's confused about all the forms you have to fill out for healthcare? Let the Clarity Group help and take the stress away. Then, when the unexpected happens, find out how the personal injury attorneys at Richmond Vona can help and what they're doing to give back to the community. All on this edition of The Big Whack presents Buffalo on the Rise.
I'm Joe Chili. Joining us on the Big Whack Buffalo on the Rise is Paul Burdikoff from Amherst Roofing.
Nice
Paul,
to meet you.
Nice to thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Today. We really appreciate it. You got a busy week.
Yeah.
Getting married at the end of the week.
Oh, yeah, it's busy.
Good for you, and you decided to come and join us today. That's great. Let's talk about Amherst Roofing, and how did Amherst Roofing actually get started?
Ooh, the history of Amherst Roofing, it's pretty complicated, and it's pretty long. It's 1996, my dad started a corporation, did a lot of construction, Buffalo and Canada, and it kind of went more focused in the roofing business. When I was about 17, I decided to join him with the roofing, and then my brother joined. So it was a fully family business, from the estimates to the work being done. And now, a couple years back, my sister joined us as a receptionist. So whenever you call, you'll have my sister answer. So it's fully family business.
Now, when you talk about family businesses and you talk about Amherst Roofing, you said 17 you decided to join. Did you get nudged into it because it was a family business, or was it something you really wanted to do?
I really wanted to do it. I was actually getting ready to go to school for engineering. I was kind of, I really wanted to be an engineer, but family business it just feels a little bit better, sounds a little bit better too. You don't have to sit at a cubicle all day, so you get freedom, on the roof.
You're outside.
Yeah, nice fresh air.
Fresh air,
hot,
clouds. Yeah. How about, what would you say differentiates Amherst Roofing from other roofing companies?
Well, the big aspect is the family business. If you call anybody, if you ever get me on the phone, the receptionist on the phone, anyone, we all have the same goal, is to get, satisfy customers and make sure the roof is good. And if we're installing the roof, we want it to be perfect. We don't cut corners. We don't want to do any bad material. That's why our material is the best you can get, and our labor, we hope, is the best too.
The questions some people have, and I'm a novice when it comes to things like this. When I got my first house, second house, whatever, they think, when is it actually time to get a new roof? And can you put a new roof over an old roof?
So that's actually a very good question. Time of roof, there's a few things that you can do just by looking at the roof from outside. You don't have to get up on a ladder. If you notice curling on a roof, like the shingles start curling, you see streaks or missing shingles, that's a big sign of the roof needing to be done soon. If you get your gutters cleaned and the cleaners say, hey, you got a lot of granules or stones in the gutters, that means the water's wiping off the stone from the shingle, which means it's getting older, it's losing its grip, and you're going to start getting missing shingles or leaks.
It seems that this year we had a lot of rain, but it seems like we've had an inordinate, if you excuse me, I speak so well, inordinate number of windstorms.
Yeah.
So what should people be doing after, a windstorm, something when we're getting winds 45, 50, 60 miles an hour even lately? What should they be looking for in their house?
So first thing is, after a windstorm, hopefully it's not tied in with rain right away, because if it is tied in with rain, you're gonna see it inside your house. But if there's a windstorm and it's over, walk the property, make sure you don't find any missing shingles or shingles on the ground. If you do, give us a call. We also, if it is a storm-related damage, insurance can cover it. So you might just be responsible for the down payment, down payment and
or like your deductible, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So last year, hate to bring it up. I mean, December 23rd.
Oh yeah.
An awful storm here that affected everybody.
Yeah.
What should people be? A lot of ice damage, as a matter of fact. What should people be looking for, preparing for winter now?
So preparing for winter, for sure, you want to take a look. Like I said, you don't have to get up on your roof. You can just take a look. If you see any dips in your roof, or you see curling shingles, because when the snow and ice sits on your roof, it will find a way in, and it's a lot harder to fix a roof when there's ice than it is right now. So that's why right now is a good time to prepare for winter. If you have small leaks, or you had a little bit of staining in your house, try to get it fixed before we have snow and ice.
And what should the homeowner, for if they're looking for assistance, if they're looking for an estimate, do you charge for estimates?
No, free estimates. Any questions, even if you want to call and have a question, if you don't know, you want to do an estimate or anything, and you have a question, hey, can you guys do this, or can you help me what to do? Feel free to call. Anyone will answer questions as much as you want. There's no charge for that. Free estimates, as always. If you want us to stop by, give you an estimate, no charge.
And what about a standard warranty on a roof now?
So we actually have different tiers of warranties. Our standard one is 15 years. That is class leading around here for sure. And if you wanted to, we do have better options up to a 50-year warranty. And actually, we do have a lifetime warranty also on labor and materials.
All right, so it sounds like people should be looking at the roofs right now.
Yes.
And thinking about what's going on, and if they had icicles last year and there's things, they should be seriously thinking about. But we really appreciate it, Paul. Thank you so much for joining us. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Amherst Roofing by calling 716-304-4554 or go to amherstruffingwny.com.
Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by the following.
I'm Joe Chili, and you can listen to me mornings on the Big Weck. Joining us on the Big Weck Buffalo on the Rise is Brian Worth from the Clarity Group. Brian,
Hi, Joe.
welcome.
How are you? Thanks
Nice
for having me today. I
nice
appreciate
to have
it.
you here. Certainly. And I have to say something about this right from the very get-go. I'm a client of the Clarity Group. Yep. When I turned 65, I contacted Karen Olson from your group.
Yep.
And I was totally dumbfounded. I mean, my email and my snail mail at home was just full of different things, with regard to retirement and all this. And I was just like, help. Somebody help me sort this out. And she was awesome. And I think that the good thing, too, to refer to, when we talk about the Clarity Group, is it's not a 1-800 number someplace across the United States where you don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah, so that's a big part of it. So obviously that issue that you were having when you were aging on, we'll call it, right, turning 65, that is, what everybody's experiencing out there. There's reasons for that. It's a heavily compliant laden area, right? And there's that alphabet soup, I would call it, or the alphabet of Medicare, that A, B, C, D, and then even E,
Yeah,
right? So how is it that, we would expect our aging population to kind of know and how to navigate that? But certainly what we do is we have that local feel, right? We're right in Western New York, in the heart of Western New York. And then also, our agents travel. So we're always making sure we're keeping a touch point for the Medicare beneficiaries as a whole. We're keeping a touch point in being able to get out and see them individually.
You know, one of the other things, you talk about A, B, C, D, whatever, but the other thing is Medicare, Medicaid.
Yeah.
And it's confusing for people. I mean, you know, which is which? We're dealing predominantly with Medicare, which is when you age, right?
Yeah, and that's the federal program. So, as we begin to age, we get to 65, let's say, for a typical individual, they're automatically going to get Medicare Part A for their working years, and they're going to be able to choose if they want Medicare Part B, the doctoring side. That comes at a premium, right? So that's a bit of a high-level view of the Medicare, the federal side, but then you have the Medicaid side, which is the New York State side. And that's for lower income individuals, lower resources. And they do actually work together if you know how to navigate the space. And it's a great space for those people who are in need of extra services with Medicare and Medicaid.
You know, when you start talking about different options, I just didn't even realize. I'm sitting here and I'm going, when I turn 65, what's going to happen? What happens if I'm still employed? Is my employer at that point going to still, cover my hospitalization or health care or whatever? Or am I going to look at a different plan? The other thing I want to make sure that I mention, right from the get-go, is there was no charge for me using the Clarity Group, or for anyone that's going to use the Clarity Group. For that matter, right?
So that's a big part of it, right? So we do not charge for our services. They come at, free of charge to everybody that we're able to help in the Medicare space. I think that I'd like to kind of dive into transparency a little bit. What I'd like people to realize is that at Clarity Group, what we do is we really assess your needs. And after assessing your needs, we try to find a suitable plan for you where you belong, quite frankly. And then that service doesn't end at that point. We're also looking into the future when somebody, has changing needs, which we all do in our healthcare journey, right? We'd be able to reassess the situation and possibly even in the middle of the year find a special election period in order to actually help them with their new needs, let's say.
One of the things, and I kind of liken this to insurance, because, insurance, you can have an agent and you can have a broker, right, that deals with multiple agents.
Yep.
When I met with the Clarity Group, speaking specifically in my instance, when I met with them, I said, here are my doctors, here are the things that I need, my medications, whatever the case may be. And they came back to me, Clarity Group, with options.
Yes.
And said, you can take this, this, or this, but the ones that would most meet my needs.
Yes.
The doctors, the groups that were available, the medications that I needed, the services that I needed, things like that. That was, you did all the homework for me.
Yeah, so I don't think that I can even tell it as eloquently as you, right? Because you're living it. So that is exactly what we do. We make sure that we give all of the options that are out there, based off of what the health assessment or health needs assessment might tell us that where you belong. And we also do resource assessment as well. And then we help you to choose that plan that best fits you. And remember, there are changing needs, as I already previously said, so we're making sure that they continue to fit you into the future as well.
If someone is going to approach the Clarity Group, what information should they have with them when they talk to you?
So we would always ask for you to come in with your doctor's list, right? And we'd also be asking, how many times are you seeing the doctors? And then also make sure you bring along a pharmaceutical, your prescription medications list as well. That's obviously very important. Those are two very big costs, in this space. So we want to make sure that we have those covered and that whatever it is that you need is covered.
What about key dates for individuals?
So key dates, number one, what consumers are going to be seeing coming up here at the end of September, let's say, they're going to be getting the ANOC, which is an annual notice of change from their current plan if they're already on a Medicare Advantage plan. Past that, October 1st, okay, we're able to market the plans into 2024, and then October 15th through December 7th is the annual election period, and that is the point where you get to choose a plan which will then take effect on January 1st of 2024. But remember, this is not just locked into what we do during annual election period. We are an all year round service with special election periods that might be available, or for those individuals like yourself who is aging on.
Also, I want to mention that each year, Karen from your group calls me and says,
we're coming up on a new year. Let's review your plan and see if it still meets all your needs.
Yes, that's a big part of what we do. It's because it's a continued service, right? You have to understand that in this space, you were talking about agents and brokers a little bit earlier. In this space, we're able to offer you multiple carriers with multiple plans, right? We're not trying to steer you in one direction or another. It's really about your needs and where you fit, right? So, and then we're also compensated in such a way that we service you through the entirety of you having a plan with us. We are your agent of record. We're able to help you navigate that complex space of your health care on the health insurance side.
And where are you located here in Western New York?
So we have 5 locations, okay? One of them's brand new. Our brand new location is going to be at 404 Center Road in West Seneca. We're also located in the McKinley Mall in Hamburg. We have the Boulevard Mall, and then we have a Batavia office. And then we have our home office, which is Transit Road in Depew. It's 4976 Transit Road.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Clarity Group by calling 716-393-3437 or go to claritygroupny.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by the following. I'm Joe Chili, and you can listen to me mornings on the Big Weck. Joining us on the Big Weck Buffalo on the Rise is Keith Vona from Richmond Vona. Keith, nice to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Thanks for being here. To begin with, maybe you can tell us what Richmond Vona is. It's a law firm, correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Richmond Vona is a personal injury law firm started by myself, my partner, John Richmond. Our 4-year anniversary will be this December. And we've just been kind of cruising along and growing rapidly and having a good time. Our primary focus is on client interaction, making sure that they have the best experience they can under the terrible circumstances in what they're going through.
And that kind of brings us to what we're talking about. We're going to focus on the Veterans One Stop Center. How did you get involved with that?
Sure. I've known about the Veterans One Stop Center since it opened. I first heard about it through the veterans race, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I've been running it since 2012. I'm a former Marine myself, so that race, and as we get into it and talk about it, it generates a lot of revenue for local veterans to help them with support services and stuff like that. The Veterans One Stop Center's been open for about 10 years, and by the end of this year, they'll have helped, I believe it's about 15,000 veterans locally over that period of time.
Give me an idea, and I don't want to get too personal with this, Keith, but did you experience personally, were there things that you had to go through when you got back from service that some of the other veterans are going through right now?
Fortunately for me, no. The time that I went in, I was on a delayed entry before the first Gulf War back in 1991 in January. Okay. And I got a little nervous when that went down, but I was going in May and it was over in 3 weeks. So for me, I was very fortunate to not have any PTSD issues or see any of my fellow servicemen, Marines killed in action or anything like that. I'm very fortunate and I'm thankful for that.
In the time that you've been working with this, with the Veterans One Stop Center, what kind of issues are they dealing with, and how it's got to be very difficult not only to deal with the issues, but to get people, veterans specifically, to admit that they have issues.
Yeah, I think they specialize in that, in recognizing and encouraging veterans to seek out help. Some of the things they are excellent at and really important is suicide prevention. September Suicide Prevention Month. That's a big thing with veterans, especially who have PTSD, been in combat, things of that nature. They also provide support for financial assistance, legal assistance, employment assistance, among other things. They actually just created in July a gym, I believe it's Cohesion Studio, and it's free to veterans, lifetime membership free plus one person. And it's a place only for veterans to be able to go out, work out, mentally prepare themselves for the challenges in life. And it's connected with the center, so they can get other resources while they're there.
Now you talk about some of the mental things, emotional things that veterans may be going through. What about medical issues? Does that come into something that you're working with here as well?
Yeah, I believe the One Stop Center does help veterans with medical assistance, whether it's mental or physical, I'm sure they have outlets to get veterans into the right place to seek the right treatments.
How difficult is it during Suicide Prevention Month to talk about something like this? I mean, suicide just seems to be such a topic that's verboten, even forbidden. People don't want to talk about it. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to say that they have those kind of issues.
Yeah.
Is it rough, do you think, in your estimation, to pull that out of people?
I think it could be challenging. In my former life, I was a police officer as well, so I've dealt with a lot of mental health issues on the street and people who are a danger to themselves and others. But I think you got to go at it head on at the end of the day. And if you can't, maybe try and find an approach with the particular veteran or person you're talking to in a different angle to get it out of them, and just be compassionate about it and be willing to help.
How did your experience as a police officer lead you into this? Was it helpful in this? Was it, did it help? Was it a foray to kind of get into this, I guess, coming from being a veteran to being a police officer, then to to being an attorney, but to getting into this whole veterans episode?
Sure. I mean, the whole track of my life has all been service-oriented, as you can tell. Service to others. Still to this day, as an owner in the law firm, my service is to other people who are injured. With respect to my involvement with the center, it started in, I think I mentioned 2012. Mm-hmm. I've been running the race. We'll talk about it, but we've been running the race every year, and we're a lead sponsor for it for the last 3 years, the #1 sponsor. It's really important. I think it's just a continuation. I'm serving my brothers and sisters in arms who are now out of the service but still need help.
And how do you get individuals to come to the one-stop center? Is it a referral? Is it something like, shows like this where we're talking about it and people are getting interest that way? How do you generate individuals to come in and get this service?
Yeah, it's a combination. It is. This show is going to be tremendous for moving this forward and making it more known to veterans who are out there. Definitely referrals. If I ever talk to veterans that are clients, or even if they're not clients and they maybe need some help, I refer them over to the center, because it's just a great vehicle for them. It's a nonprofit. All the money that goes into the center goes directly towards veterans and helping them.
And this veterans race that's coming up in November, is that a major fundraising effort for this?
It is, and that's also another conduit for veterans to get acquainted with the Veteran One Stop Center, because they'll be down there as well with volunteers. They're part of it. It's down at the Naval Park. It's just a tremendous event, I think. And there's a 5K, there's a 10K. You can even walk if you want to, if you're not a runner. All the money that's raised through this race, it is a big supporter of the center, because outside of what it costs to run the race, every single penny goes directly to the one-stop center for the veterans.
And the date for the race?
It's November 4th. It's pretty early in the morning. I want to say it's about 8 or 9 o'clock. That's really not that early, but 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And there's a great after party, completely free at Southern Tier. They're a great sponsor as well. There's breakfast, beers. It's great. It's just a great event.
That's great. By the time you wake up, the race is done. So you can race half asleep. I'm only kidding. Thank you very much, Keith. We really appreciate it. Keith Vona from Richmond Vona. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Richmond Vona by calling 716-300-5885 or go to richmondvona.com. For veterans information for the Veterans One Stop Center, call 716-898-0110. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by the following. Thanks for watching this edition of the Big Weck Presents Buffalo on the Rise. For information on this and other shows, go to our website, bigweck.com, and find out how you can participate on the program if you're a hometown business. I'm Joe Chili. Thanks for watching and listening to the Big Weck, Buffalo's oldie station.
The Big Weck presents Buffalo on the Rise was sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process.